1668, after 30 years of war, there was the development of nation states. Before then, it was really the development of countries as we know it, that there were borders, and that within those borders, those who had control got to control it, and there were not to be intrusions in those borders, and that's how we established the nation state. And then, of course, within each country, there is levels. There is a central level, and then there is typically a province or state level down below, and then there's a municipal level, so they each have different levels of power, and it's the coordination of those that determines how the country is run. There are two orders. There is an order by a system, how the system works. So there's an internal order, that is the internal governance system, and it's usually set out in a constitution or some agreements. And then there's the world order, how the world system. So, for example, in 1945, at the end of a war, which is basically a fight for determining the world order, the winners of the fight got together and created the world system as we now know it. 44, they created the Brenton Woods Monetary system that determined the money, pretty much. And because the United States won and had 80% of the world's money, gold was money then, and it has 80% of the world's gold, and it was half the world's economy, and it was the great military power. The order was built around an American world order, so that the United Nations was in New York, the World Bank and the IMF were in Washington, and they built that new order. So classically, you have a war to determine whose rules we're following, and then you have the new order being constructed. After that, there is usually a period of extended peace and prosperity. Peace suits prosperity. And so there's not, and the reason you have the peace is because no one wants to fight with the dominant power. You know you're going to lose, you've surrendered. Over a period of time, since really 1500, and maybe before, but really 1500, when the Dutch invented capitalism. And what I mean by that, they invented the first capital markets, the first stocks and the first stock market. That since then, capitalism has been an effective tool for building wealth because it got resources into the hands of inventive people. That's when we moved from agriculture to the importance of inventiveness of people. They got resources, and then they built that prosperity. In that process of doing that, they create wealth gaps naturally. Those who make a lot of money make a lot more than those that don't. And it also produces opportunity gaps because, for example, those who earn a lot of money, have that wealth, they have the power to educate their children in a way that others don't. And the gaps grow. And also the debts grow at that time. When they go around the world with their competitiveness, they earn a lot of money. So, for example, the Dutch Empire, learned how to build ships and that would go around the world. A key ingredient of this improvement in this cycle is the improvement of education. And by education, I mean the skills that come from education, but also civility, the ability to deal well together. So the Dutch invented ships that could go around the world, and they had military power, but they were also a very inventive society. 25% of the world's new inventions came from the Dutch. And so as they went around the world, they also brought their currency, and they brought their military. So you see that they gradually lose their competitiveness, and they get themselves into financial circumstances which are not good, and they have large wealth gaps, which set the stage for downturns. And when they have downturns, the first question is, do they have enough money? And traditionally, money is resources. So you classically see that the coffers are bare, that they're spending more money than they are earning, and they run out of money in the coffers. And their granaries are empty rather than stocked so that they give them the buffer. And as that deteriorates, that worsens conditions. And if they have a rival power that's also challenging them, they see greater internal conflict over wealth. And then they have the problems internally and the problems externally, which usually results in an internal war or an external war that leads to the change to the New World Order.